There is a deeply uncomfortable truth about success that the modern system is absolutely terrified to admit. Doing exactly what you are told, chasing credentials, and consuming endless content is exactly what keeps you weak and easily replaced. You probably feel it already, that quiet frustration of working hard, reading the books, listening to the podcasts, but still feeling like you lack genuine depth and true power. If you look at the most formidable men in any industry, the true heavyweights who dictate the terms of their own lives, they completely ignored the traditional path. At some critical breaking point, they chose isolation. They stepped away from the noise, took absolute ownership of their own minds, and began getting better in silence. They forged what the Japanese call Fudoshin, an immovable mind. I call this rare breed of man, dangerously self-educated. Because they have forged their understanding in the quiet fires of deep focus, they are immune to the shallow thinking that plagues most of society. They see the hidden frameworks that ordinary men miss, and they solve massive problems with an intuition that baffles credentialed experts. Becoming this kind of man has nothing to do with reading a book a week just to say you did it. What I'm going to share with you right now is the exact blueprint to rebuild your intellectual foundation from the ground up and forge a mind that the world simply cannot ignore. To build that immovable mind we discussed, the first and most critical rule you must accept is absolute comprehension always takes priority over the sheer volume of reading. Right now, society rewards the information glutton. You see these guys everywhere bragging about listening to podcasts on double speed, racing through a book a week, treating knowledge like a buffet. They are intellectually bloated but completely starving for real power. The ancient Japanese masters despised this. They practiced Rikai. To them, a concept was not something you simply read, it was a physical opponent. You do not just finish a chapter. You trap a single difficult paragraph in your mind for an entire afternoon. You break it down. You interrogate it. You mentally rebuild its framework from scratch until it bends to your will. Miyamoto Musashi warned against doing things that are of no use. Skimming a book just to say you read it is of no use. After reading a difficult passage, you must close your eyes, isolate yourself from all distractions, and mentally rebuild the framework in your imagination. Then you put yourself through the ultimate test. You imagine standing in front of someone who has zero knowledge of the topic, and you try to explain it to them. If you stumble or rely on complex jargon, you are failing. While the amateur reads 300 pages and forgets it all by Tuesday, the dangerously self-educated man takes 3 pages and weaponizes them for a lifetime. Every sentence he encounters is genuinely absorbed into his arsenal. However, developing this intense ability to dissect and absorb knowledge will actually destroy your progress if you aim it in the wrong direction. Mastering how to learn is incredibly powerful, but if you aim this weaponized focus at multiple subjects simultaneously, you will accelerate your own destruction. You will build a powerful engine for a ship that is actively sinking. So how exactly do you find the one specific arena that will forge your dominance and avoid the fatal trap that keeps smart men broke and unknown? The answer requires a level of obsession most ordinary people are terrified of. When most guys decide to upgrade their lives, they panic. They scatter their energy like a shotgun blast. Stoicism in the morning, day trading at noon, digital marketing at night. They step into the arena carrying 20 different weapons, completely convinced that being a jack of all trades makes them dangerous. The brutal truth is they are the first to die in the market. Miyamoto Musashi did not become a legend by carrying a massive armory. He survived because he swore total, almost psychopathic devotion to his primary blade. There is a core principle, called Ichigyo ni hairu, entering deeply into a single art. He famously wrote that if you know the way broadly, you will see it in everything, but you must first master one specific way. To discover this singular path, you might need to isolate yourself completely, perhaps executing a rigorous 72-hour protocol of absolute isolation to silence the external noise and identify the one true obsession that aligns with your ultimate purpose. If you have already identified your singular domain of focus, comment 1 below right now so I can see which of you are actually committed to this path. When you brutally cut off all distractions and force yourself down one singular, path, you eventually hit a hidden layer of reality. You stop seeing isolated tricks and start seeing the universal code. Once you decode these foundational patterns in your primary field, that deep insight automatically transfers to every other domain you encounter later. The man who achieves true mastery in one arena has secretly learned the universal code of how to learn, while the guy who dabbles in 20 different fields has only mastered the art of dabbling. You must select an area you can visualize dedicating years of your life to without losing that burning internal drive. Once you make this choice, everything else becomes background noise. You must defend your focus utilizing the dark psychology of isolation, cutting off all distractions with a quiet stubbornness that ordinary people will find deeply unsettling. But simply choosing your domain and engaging in deep reading is still a trap. There is a massive flaw in this system. If you only consume and never construct, your mind will eventually betray you. You will consume so much high-level data that it creates a dangerous illusion of mastery, while in reality, you remain a beginner. To prevent this psychological collapse, you need a brutal private mechanism to process this chaos. A specific protocol that history's most lethal strategists used, but the modern world has completely forgotten. Merely consuming elite information is a fatal trap if you never construct anything of your own. Most guys take notes like obedient students, just blindly recording what another man said. That is not power. The most lethal strategists in history did not keep diaries. They built interrogation rooms for their own minds. I call this creating a thinking document. It is a completely private arena where you actively forge your understanding through the physical act of writing. When Musashi wrote the Dokudo, he was not taking notes. He was forging his final rules for life while facing his own death. When you force a vague, powerful feeling idea out of your head and onto a blank page, you strip away your own illusion of competence. The page is brutal. It immediately exposes your flaws, your contradictions, and your weak logic. The vague concepts floating in your mind that felt powerful while they remained unspoken suddenly reveal their fatal flaws the moment you try to write them down. Over weeks and months, your thinking document evolves into an intense, ongoing conversation with yourself. You will return to old entries and aggressively revise them. You will start noticing massive patterns across your own thoughts, developing a cinematic level of mental clarity that sheer reading alone can never produce. You are not writing for likes or an audience. You are aggressively revising your own mental architecture so that when reality hits, your judgment is crystalline. The dangerously self-educated man writes relentlessly for his own mental architecture because the act of writing is the exact process that builds true intellectual dominance. But here is the most lethal trap of this entire system. You can master the art of deep reading, and you can build the most impressive private architecture of thought in the world. But if you stop there, you will fail miserably. You will become a paralyzed intellectual, a man with a massive library in his head, but absolutely zero physical power in his life. The bridge between raw intellectual capability and actual world-bending dominance is a brutal transition that destroys 99% of men. How do you cross that bridge without losing your mind? This brings us to the exact graveyard where most self-education projects quietly die. I see men all the time who have accumulated massive libraries of Stoic philosophy and market theory inside their heads. They can debate brilliantly on podcasts, but their knowledge is completely decorative. It is expensive furniture in a locked room. The moment life punches them in the mouth, their theories instantly collapse. The ancient concept of Jissen demands that knowledge is worthless until it is violently forced into physical application. It is treated as the absolute turning point when theoretical information finally solidifies into genuine power. Musashi did not learn angles in a safe dojo. He tested his theories in the chaotic, unforgiving reality of actual combat. You must practice constantly until the understanding bypasses your conscious mind and flows directly into your hands and your judgment. The ultimate implication for your own journey of self-education is that every single profound idea you extract from your deep reading must be ruthlessly tested against your actual daily life as fast as humanly possible. If you study a concept, today you must force it into a real-world scenario by tomorrow. Put real skin in the game. Write something the market will brutally judge. Because knowledge that stays purely theoretical does not just fade, it rots. Knowledge that gets physically applied takes deep, permanent root in your nervous system. The dangerously self-educated man is instantly recognizable because you can visibly see the heavy physical imprint of his learning on his actual reality. His deep understanding has successfully flowed from his isolated mind out into the physical world, rather than remaining trapped inside a journal. But simply executing these 4 principles is not the end of the journey. When you combine absolute comprehension, singular focus, private written thought, and relentless physical application, you create an advanced psychological weapon that ordinary society is terrified of. But I must be completely honest with you. Reaching this terrifying stage of independence comes with a heavy, agonizing price. What exactly happens to your mind when you finally cut off all the noise, step into the void, and your own thoughts begin to turn against you? When you finally have the discipline to violently fuse these 4 brutal principles together, what emerges from the fire is a complete blueprint for becoming the kind of dangerously self-educated man who can stand completely unfazed alongside or even far beyond the heavily credentialed experts in any room. You read significantly less than the anxious masses, but you understand reality on a fundamentally deeper level because every single piece of material has been aggressively broken down, visualized, and violently tested until it has genuinely become a permanent part of your physical being. You have concentrated your vital energy into one singular domain, diving so incredibly deep that the underlying structure of knowledge itself begins to reveal hidden frameworks that scattered, distracted men will never possess the capacity to see. You write your deepest thoughts down in a private arena that evolves alongside you, refining your mental architecture over months and years until the crystalline clarity of your judgment becomes something almost no one in your immediate circle can even begin to match. And most importantly, you apply everything you learn as fast as humanly possible to actual physical situations, because you fully understand that knowledge that never enters the physical world never truly becomes a part of you. What makes this specific breed of self-education so genuinely dangerous in the best possible sense is that it actively produces a dominant quality of mind that the modern institutional system rarely ever creates. The dangerously self-educated man absolutely does not need the media, his peers, or any established authority figure to tell him what to think or how to act, because he has painstakingly developed the rare capacity to think things through completely on his own. He is never impressed by prestigious credentials because he has seen far too clearly how often those expensive pieces of paper and actual real-world competence completely fail to coincide. He is virtually impossible to manipulate because he has spent years building the iron habit of testing every single external idea against his own careful logic and his brutal lived experience. Miyamoto Musashi called this ultimate state of mental autonomy the void, where the mind is completely empty of confusion, but fully aware of everything. This man possesses a quiet, unshakable confidence that relies on zero external validation because he knows exactly what he has mastered and exactly where the current edges of his understanding lie. But you must understand that the path to building this kind of immovable mind is incredibly slow, and it absolutely cannot be hacked, shortened, or optimized by any modern application or artificial intelligence tool. It requires years of deliberate, agonizingly slow, deep work on yourself completely in the shadows, with no audience watching you and no authority handing you the gold stars or degrees that traditional society distributes so freely. It requires you to embrace the pain of being entirely misunderstood by the people closest to you while you secretly rebuild your foundation from the ground up. The men who successfully walk this solitary path eventually forge a weapon that ordinary society cannot defend against, which is a mind shaped entirely by the heavy depth of its own isolated thinking rather than a mind merely infected with the loud opinions of the weak majority. Your true power will be forged completely out of sight, and you will naturally become better in silence. The depth you can reach is genuinely terrifying to most people, and the man you will eventually become is someone the world will have absolutely no choice but to respect and heavily compensate. If you are truly willing to accept the heavy burden, of this isolation and commit to this unforgiving path. Comment 2 below right now to solidify your intention in front of the few men who actually understand what we are building here on this channel. But here is the final dangerous reality we must confront right now. You now have the exact philosophical blueprint to build this immovable mind, and you understand the immense power of deep study. But enforcing this strict daily discipline requires a level of extreme physical and mental isolation that absolutely destroys most weak men. When you cut off the external noise and step fully into the shadows, your own mind will eventually violently turn against you. How exactly do you survive the crushing weight of your own thoughts when there is no one left to distract you and the loneliness begins to set in? The exact answer lies in mastering the dark psychology of isolation, and I am going to break down a brutal 72-hour protocol to survive this mental war and weaponize your solitude in the very next video. If you want to survive that next vital phase and build a mind that absolutely cannot be broken, you need to hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the notifications so you do not miss the specific protocol the second it drops. Take absolute control of your mind right now because it is the only true weapon you will ever own in this life. I will see you in the next one.